my first question we were talking about earlier.
Sure.
With how you done other podcasts before, I was gonna ask you, with your like I guess process, choosing who you work with. How does that process go about?
I think I'm honestly fully transparency. I love working with everybody and anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not picky at all in terms of, well, I wouldn't like to say like I'm at a place where I'm able to pick who I
Mm-hmm.
want to work with. 'Cause I think that, like, I don't know, I feel like there's just so much uh possibilities out there. It's like the classic quote people would say, like, you miss 100% chance you don't take,
Exactly.
right? So it's like if you don't take it, you miss 100%. Like, so I look at everybody that I work with in the past as like 100% chance. And I'm like, because you
Mm-hmm.
never know how people can develop into something, right? Like, not looking at people as potential per se, but more of like just like I believe in everybody's vision, because I think everybody's vision is equivalent, is just as crucial and important to them as anybody else's. So my thought process when I work with people or picking who I work with,
Mm-hmm.
um, don't get me wrong, there's obviously scenarios where I've worked with someone and it just, you don't see eye to
Doesn't work
eye in
out.
certain thing, but I always do work like the initial collaboration, or like the work is there, like I never stray away from like, hey, let's work, like I'm down, let's about it, I'm about it, like let's run it, let's lock in something,
Mm-hmm.
let's get something in, and then from there, and if it works, it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't, like we go our separate ways. And yeah, I think I'm pretty open to who I work with.
Okay.
I don't like to pick
Yeah.
this. I feel like when it comes to picking, it's just like you're overthinking it. You're like overthinking,
Okay.
like, oh, like because of this and this and this. Like I don't I honestly, and also I don't really usually post everything I shoot.
Yeah.
I just, I express, or I, put out work that I think is valuable to me and what my audience would like to see. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is there anything? Has there any been like a scenario where you've seen something that has turned you away from working with someone? Or is there any like red flags, I guess, from working with someone? Like, has there any been an instance where you've been like, like I can't really do this? Like, has there any been any instance where you couldn't, just take the chance and you just said like, no, I can't do this. We can't work together.
Well, there's definitely many different factors.
Yeah.
One of them is obviously a very common thing in creative industry where it comes to budget.
Mm-hmm.
People not having enough budget for the work that they're trying to create. So honestly, I'm pretty lenient. Like even at times like that, I'm like, hey, like when it comes to rates and whatever, like I'll provide more edits if that's what you're more comfortable with. Because for me, the editing process for it is fun. It's just fun
Yeah.
for me. I can do that for days, and like if I was in a place where money isn't like a variable, like I would do everything
Mm-hmm.
for free, right? I'd be like, I'm already so well off. I would do photography for free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also another thing that people say, like, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So, but yeah, honestly, budgeting is one of them. And when it comes to, I don't know, I just people, like, I'm a very like people person, like
Mm-hmm.
when I communicate with people, it's usually very like reflective and like bounce back and like and ideas and energies,
Like
and we're like,
feedback.
oh yeah, feedback, yeah, you need feedback. And if it's like there's nothing there, it's kind of hard to grasp on what creatives, like what they want in terms of vision. And at the end of the day, I'm helping, so I mostly work with musicians, But I also work with models and whatnot. But yeah, I work with musicians. But if they don't know what they want, and I'm trying to like, I'm creating uh like a translation for their music into visuals, right? I'm trying to make sure that it's very aligned and cohesive to what their sound is like.
Yeah.
But if they don't even know what they're doing, it's like I'm not making the music myself, so I can't create
You
that.
can't. Yeah, I can't
You know what I
create
mean?
this because you've made it, right?
Yeah. So I would say that's another. I wouldn't like to call it red flag. It's just work,
There's like
work.
things to watch for, kind of,
Yeah,
more
work
so.
habits and like the different palettes, like how people work with each other. Like it just sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. Like that person might be working with someone that's like, oh, like perfect, I'm in full control, let me do everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
or sometimes it just works with certain individuals and sometimes it doesn't work with certain individuals. But I don't like to say I have red flags. It just certain people don't see eye to eye with me and certain people do, and we go from there. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's not more. It's not. I kind of use red flags loosely because it's kind of like the way, kind of not the way to go about it, but the way the most common like scenario to say, like red flag
Yeah,
for this,
for
red flag
sure,
for
for
that.
sure, for sure,
But
for sure.
yeah, no, it's definitely, I guess, not picky, but like more so like how the client matches like the artist and how the artist matches the artist. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It sounds more so like you're kind of just trying to match the vibe of what the person's giving you or
Yeah,
like
for sure,
pitching
definitely.
to you, rather
Hmm.
than looking out for XYZ.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, honestly, that's some things work, some things don't, and it's just different dynamics works for different people.
So as you said, some things works and some things don't. I wanted to ask you for like the work you have on your Instagram. Like I've seen that's very limited. And you mentioned earlier you didn't post much. Is there like was there a point where you were posting like everything, and then you stopped yourself from posting like everything, or was it just kind of like you're always like keeping it kind of like the best of the best of what you want to have out for your audience?
I think as a creative, consistency is definitely key. So for me, I get into different loops where I wouldn't like to say loops, but loops is like the best way to
Routines.
this routines, yeah, where um, me trying out different things like, oh, this works with the algorithm or this doesn't work with whatever, this, like, so for me, there would be a phase of time or a period of time where I'm just like consistently posting every other day because I do have content. Like I do have content in the vault that I can draw, but at the end of the day, like we are our biggest critiques. So I definitely look at my work very differently than how people perceive it. I like my work to, to stand out in different ways, or like I like to express my work in different ways that works for me and that people can digest it in the best way possible. But it doesn't work all the time when I create a product or I create an image or I make images where like process of it is fun, but the result isn't exactly what I want it to be. So I just don't put the work out. But there are also times where I think it's best that I consistently put out work so people can be updated on my style changing or
What's going on with
or what's
it?
going on and what have I been working on, and it's also going to get me more work in the future. But it all varies. I think, right, I can't tell you what my thought process was before, but I can tell you right now,
Right now.
I definitely would like to just have it because I consistently also archive work and unarchive work. There are times where I'm like, I feel like I look at my feed and I'm like, I think something is missing. So I put a certain past work on there and certain images that I'm like, I think this should go away. I don't want people to see this anymore. I take that away. I think that's like
Mm.
a great feature that Instagram, allows us to do.
Is it archives? It's huge.
Archives
It's
and on
huge.
archives, right?
Yeah.
But basically, right now, I just like to focus on putting out like the best work possible that I think
Mm.
is good, or I think people
Yeah.
like at the end,
People enjoy.
yeah, people will enjoy it. And at the end of the day, I am creating art for myself. I don't like to think that I'm creating art for other people. I like to
Yeah.
create art for myself, where just along the ride people appreciate it and they can digest it in a way that like, oh wow, this is so cool, like I understand this, I would like to see more, like to that process, to that extent, right?
Mm.
um but yeah, like it's definitely like an ups and downs kind of process where some weeks I have everything archived, and some weeks I have like
Wow.
literally all my images back up, and like people are like, "What's going on? Like, are you okay?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." It's just
I'm
like
good. I'm just, it's just the process.
it's a process. Yeah, it's just a process of expressing as an artist, as a creative,
Hmm.
what you want to show and what you don't want to show at certain periods of time, or periods of your life that you
Yeah.
want to achieve. But yeah, like that more or less sums it up.
Yeah. Kind of works into my next question. Because I see you have like kind of, most of your shoots are like themed. I want to know how you kind of like more so your personal project. I'm not saying for like, clients and stuff, more so your personal projects. What's the process like coming up with like the theme of the shoot or the theme of, a video or etc.
Or my, I think it also, again, that's like a question that definitely has a variety of answers, because
Yeah.
shoots, like the work and the projects varies from from A to Z, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like it's like um one project could be a full creative direction or creative control from the model or a stylist, or sometimes it's just me completely. But I would like to say my work that I put out recently are very collaborative when it comes to creative direction and like visions, that I think everybody comes together as one. um, for me, as the photographer, um, I just try to make sure that everybody is happy with what uh, we are all putting out, collectively.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, I think that this red should be whatever, like up two stops, or like the shadow should be down, um, like -2 or whatever, like, and kind of going back and forth. That there's a group chat like for every project. It's like, okay, like
Hmm.
let's make sure that we put out the best work we can. Obviously, for me, when I edit, the process of editing, um, a lot of it is like still formulated through how I color grade it. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's why these people hire me to shoot and edit. But I like to cater every single work that I've put out, or every
Hmm.
single projects that I work on, to be something special, not like
Not
okay,
just
yeah,
another
like
like,
it's
yeah, like throw this together kind of
y-
ordeal just for money.
yeah, like shot this, preset on, boom, put out. Like that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's not. I don't like to
Throw on
look at
two
it like
LUTs.
that.
All right, minimize this. Done.
Yeah, done. You know what I mean? I like it to be like, okay, like let's. I did that. That might be like the first initial, preliminary, like, um, preliminary edit, or the first
Yeah.
revision, where it's like, here, let's have a
Yeah.
look
The
at
first take, kind
what
of.
these kind of look like, first cut of,
Hmm.
and yeah, like translate into like music or whatever. It's like, like the drums or whatever, like how do we feel about
Hmm.
this, you know what I mean? And then everybody kind of chives in and be like, hey, like this works and this doesn't. go back to the drawing board,
Yeah.
edit a few different things, and then texture, whatever needs to be added is there. And then from there, we select the images one by one. Like this, yeah, like it's interesting to like kind of think about that whole thought process.
Yeah.
Some of the projects that I've worked on are actually like insane. Like the thought that goes into it, I'm just like, and the amount of work that gets put into it, like it for us, like I can't even consider myself as like something that's like a big budget photo shoot kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's like a very like low budget video, because a lot of artists that I work with, musicians that I work with, they're independent, so like they don't quite have the budget to
They
do
don't
so.
have the huge budget to throw for a music video or huge
but
budget
yeah,
for artwork.
Exactly. But for me, I try to provide the best that they can get. You know what I mean? So people look at it as like,
for
wow,
their budget, yeah.
that looked like a huge production, but it's like, no, it's really not. It's just I put a lot of work into. All of us put a lot of work into this project, and that's what it looks like. You know what I mean?
That's what happens when everyone comes together.
Definitely, and I'm like a creative that definitely works in favor of whatever I can. I work with whatever I can get. I work best with whatever I can get, and try to be as resourceful and efficient as I can with the actual process of it. Like the artist comes to me and be like, "Oh, I only have a budget for an hour, or a budget for whatever. Like I can't afford a stylist," or I'll be like, "Okay, like I guess I gotta step in as a role of a stylist for this project, or a cleanup guy, or assisting, or lights. Like I have to do all of them." So kind of like, I know it's not the most ideal situation, but you got to work with what you got.
Yeah, switching roles, because like,
Yeah,
not every artist or creative is gonna have a stylist, a manager, you know what I mean, like just the resources that a big time artist has to make a wonderful piece of cover art or music video. Not all the artists that are gonna contact
exactly.
you or any creative is gonna have those resources. So it's like, I feel like a lot of people think they'll only have to be good as a creative, only have to be good at the one thing. So let's say just photography. But in reality, you got to pick up every other role.
Yeah.
Sometimes not every time, but there's definitely going to be bridging roles, lights, set design, stuff like that.
Exactly. But definitely for me, I have I wouldn't say I have an expertise understanding of all the roles, but I can say
you're confident.
I'm confident in a lot of them, where I know I can create, as a photographer, I can create a certain piece of work, stepping into multiple roles for a project. Yeah, it all varies again, and
on the project and the person, right?
Yeah, and I've met people on set, on music video sets, where they are a photographer there, but they're PA for this, they're styling for this, and I'm like, "Oh, you're a DJ." I'm like, "What? How are you styling on this set? It makes no sense." But at the same time, it makes perfect sense.
It's versatility, right?
Yeah, versatility. Yeah. But I like to look at myself as someone who just, the main focus of what I want to achieve is photography. I would like to just focus on that.
Would like to, but if I have to, I'll step out of that role and help with other things.
For sure. And I've had projects where I think as my career is slowly just elevating in different ways, I get to more dominantly step in the role of being a photographer. Yeah, for sure.
with like your catalog and everything.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely, man. Yeah.
Right, that's perfect. I think we're gonna wrap things up on the podcast.
Amazing.
Frank, thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
Of
If you
course.
want to shout yourself out, tell people where to find you.
My Instagram is Hoeshell, Hoeshell. Yeah, just reach out to me. Like, all my work's on there. My website's hoeshell.com. Like, I just feel so weird like plugging myself, but
Yeah, no. it's very. I always tell people to shout themselves out, but I realize how awkward it sounds because like
yeah,
I'm picturing myself shouting myself out. It's like I
yeah.
don't know about this.
But I also like people don't know what I look like. That's also another thing. So it's like
Yeah.
it's always interesting when I like talk to people and I introduce myself, and
Yeah, and link up and stuff.
I introduce myself as Frank, and a lot of times where people just come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Hoeshell," and I'm like, "Yeah, like, yeah."
What?
Like, yo, like I'm following you, like da 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 da, like you work this, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I just, like for me, it's like stepping. Like, I like to the reason why, yeah, the reason why I'm not even out there like that is just because like I prefer to like stand behind the glass and be like, here's my work. I can talk to other people about my work without them noticing or realizing that who this is or what that work is. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, man.
All right, but thank you for being on the podcast.
Of
Thank
course.
you to anyone who's listening currently. If you're listening on audio platforms, we're available on YouTube as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, we're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,